Aston Villa's start to our season has been a little bit up and down, but we find ourselves in 6th before Christmas Day itself. We're still in the running for the Champions League, and obviously have a very Merry Christmas to everyone out there. But Christmas means one thing. In about 7 days, it's the January transfer window, and there's been a lot of rumours flying around. We're going to break down everything that's been happening and a few targets that we're after and talk about why we might be after them, some ins, some outs, and an all-round big, long January chit-chat. If you do enjoy Aston Villa and Premier League content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more, turn notifications on, and comment your thoughts on what Villa should do in January down below, because if you've been in any of my live streams, you'll know I like to have a chat, and if that chat is down in the comments, that works for me. But without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing we need to do is actually understand what is going to be happening. Now, luckily, there are some great reporters out there who focus on Villa, John Townley being one that springs to mind, works for the Birmingham Mail, and others as well, and it is all being reported the same thing, right? Emery, Monchi, and the other guy whose name I just can't pronounce, him, they're all going to sit down and have a chat about Villa's January plans very, very soon. And the plans are pretty simple. A new right-back / right-sided defender and a new versatile attacking player. So those are the two targets that we're looking at. We're probably going to be looking at about 2 or 3 incomings at most. Probably going to be some movement in the loan market as well. Louis Barry's loan has been confirmed to be being recalled today. So let's have a little look at why possibly those two positions that are going to be the ones that we're looking at. We're going to look at the formations, and we're also going to look at who might be going out before we look at the new players that we could be welcoming to Villa Park come January the 31st at the latest on deadline day. Hopefully no phallic objects in ears. So first of all, how have Villa been playing this season? Well, we've lined up mainly in 3 different ways. Now, you can ignore the players that are in this formation. They're just placeholder players that play for Villa. But the main formation, as you can see, that we've been lining up with is your standard Emery 4-4-2. And we haven't really had a great deal of success, and it has been changed very recently to accommodate injuries, as well as, I probably think, a little bit of form, right? The 4-4-2 is good defensively. It's meant to be solid. We're going to get onto that later on because it hasn't been this season for Villa, but offensively we've looked very stale and stagnant when we have been playing the 4-4-2. Ollie Watkins nowhere near the levels that he has been before this season. Rodgers had a little bit of a fall off. We have no real pace on the wings at the moment, and I've got Tielemans in the placeholder one, but really we've been playing with McGinn and Rodgers mainly on the wing, or McGinn. Cash has even played right mid this season. You know, it hasn't been the free-flowing attacking Villa that we're used to, and we looked very, very stagnant. Now, on the flip side of things, we've also played, as you can see on the screen, in a bit of a 5-3-2, right? We've done that for the Leipzig game, kind of worked, 1-3-2. We've done it again in the Premier League. I can't remember who it was against, Nottingham Forest, I want to say. Lost 2-1 as soon as Boubacar Kamara came off of the pitch, so that didn't really work, and then we changed it again. And bearing in mind, Emery has been 4-4-2 since he's come into Villa, right? 3 years ago, roughly, was it? 2 and a bit, 3 years ago. He's been 4-4-2 since the off. Since that first game that we lined up against United, I think it was, that we won 3-1 with the brilliant Luca Digne free kick. We've been a 4-4-2 team, right? It hasn't changed. In-game, yes, sometimes it's a bit more fluid into a 4-2-3-1, especially when we had the likes of Luiz and Kamara as the 2 holding midfielders. But, you know, mainly we have been in a 4-4-2, like I say, for 2 years. So the fact that Emery has changed it so much recently, and the fact that the 4-2-3-1 that we lined up against Manchester City works so well that you can see on the screen now, with Onana and Kamara, I think it fits perfectly. And that, I think, is where the versatile attacker will really come into play. And the right back, right? Because our right-hand side has been a problem area for us this entire season, something that we need to address. So those are the formations. What about the personnel, the ins, the outs, the injuries, etc., etc.? This season there's been a couple of standout players, right? A couple of players that you know are going to be in this Villa team for the entire season, and I think we need to understand them before we can understand where the changes will come. For me, I think there's probably about 4 or 5 players that you know aren't going to get dropped. Emi Martinez, Ezri Konsa. I think now we can put Boubacar Kamara in that conversation for players who just will not get dropped. Morgan Rodgers, and I think there's an argument for John Duran as well at the moment. Yuri Tielemans, another one that could sneak into that conversation as well. Luca Digne, possibly. Pau Torres is very interchangeable, but then you look at the backups that we have in those positions, Maatsen and Tyrone Mings, whereas the backup for Konsa, player who's a little bit undroppable really, is Diego Carlos. Not too happy with his performances this season. Right back is a really big issue because we have Matty Cash there, not really consistently performing at a level. And then the backup for him is Bagard or Nedeljkovic, both of which are probably on the likely to go out on loan list in January. Onana, I think, will become a stalwart of this team. I think the position that you're looking at in attack that's very fluid and the attacking midfielder could come into right now is probably that John McGinn position, right? Because Yuri Tielemans is a number 10. We've seen it. It works, and it works bloody well. So really, like I say, that right-hand side is the issue. And I think that's really been highlighted in the transfer strategy for this January. In terms of outs, like I say, there's a couple. Louis Barry is coming back from loan. He is expected to go straight back out to either Middlesbrough or Sunderland in the January transfer window. Kosta Nedeljkovic hasn't really kicked on, and he looks likely to be going out on loan as well in January to get some regular first team minutes. I can see that we're probably going to try and get rid of Diego Carlos again in January if anyone will have him. The likes of Emi Buendia as well, I think he could be likely to go out on loan to get more regular playing time because we have the likes of Jacob Ramsey coming back from injury as well. So where does that leave us in terms of targets? Well, let's start with the defenders. And we start off with one that's come out of the woodwork very recently, and that is Fikayo Tomori of AC Milan. As you can see, this season not particularly worked out for him over in Milan. Only 9 games, 6 starts, the 550 minutes played and a 6.68 rating in Serie A. Hasn't particularly... I mean, he's been at Milan since 2021. He's played 137 games for them, but it's never really worked out right. How many England caps does he have? 5. Doesn't regularly get into that team at all, if ever, to be fair. I can't remember the last time he actually was involved in a game. And we look at him in Serie A this season. The pass accuracy, very good. He is a right-footed centre-back, plays on the right. He can fill in at right-back because he's got a bit of pace about him. Pass accuracy, very good, right? 93.1%, puts him in the top 14% in that league. We're not going to look too much at cross accuracy because he's only got 1 successful cross. So we're not going to be too worried about that. But defensively, again, still a player that has a lot of room for improvement, but he is 27 as well. So you really want him to come in and be hitting the ground running, straight in, prime centre-back, right? 87.5% tackle success ratio is fantastic. Puts him in the top 10th percentile for defenders in Serie A. But then you look at the rest of his stats here, duels won, 58%. It's not fantastic. 55% aerial duels won. He's been dribbled past 4 times in his 9 games. It doesn't paint a fantastic picture. We all know of the potential that he has. We all know that he's a very good defender. But at a market value of £45 million, we've got the English tax on him. Whenever you sign an English player, it costs a lot of money. I just think that there could be possibly better out there. Now let's move on to another one then that we have been linked with, and we're going to stay in the same league, and that is Michael Kayode from Fiorentina, as we flop over on the screen right here. Only 20 years of age, and he is an out-and-out right-back. He won Italian's Golden Boy Award for 2024, I believe, or whether it's the 23-24 season or 2024 calendar year. He has won that. He plays for Fiorentina. He's got 4 matches so far this season, only 34 minutes. I believe he's been struggling with a little bit of an injury. A market value of £27 million, but everyone seems really high on this kid this season. If we scroll down here, his stats this season, again, aren't going to be particularly wonderful considering the amount of minutes that he's played. But you can see he's using his minutes wisely. 100% dribble success ratio, 100% of his tackles are being won, 66% of his duels, and 100% of his aerial duels as well. If we look at that breakout season that got him into that Golden Boy Award, however, you can see he is a very good all-round right back. 1 XG on target. He had 1 goal last season, 1 assist, 900 successful passes off of a success ratio of 87% is very good. 47 accurate long balls off of a 50% success ratio on those, and 20 successful crosses, something that Matty Cash doesn't offer this team. And that's very fair to say. I know I'm quite harsh on Cashy sometimes, but he doesn't cross the ball very well, and he doesn't ever really cross the ball at all. He's much more of a cutback type of player. But Coyote, 20 crosses and a 30% success ratio on those crosses is elite level numbers at 20 years of age. 22 successful dribbles last year puts him right near the top 10th percent in that league. Nearly 1,600 touches, won 19 fouls. He has a 50% dribble success ratio, and you can see that those percentages of tackles were no fluke. Yes, the tackle 1 percentage does go down to 56%, but he won 30 of them in the course of that season, winning 60% of his duels, 111 duels won, 18 interceptions, wins nearly 50% of his aerial duels, another area that Villa struggle with at the back, 105 recoveries and only 2 yellow cards. That season for him was the breakout season. He is very, very highly sought after, very, very highly thought of, and one that could be a serious option if we wanted to go down that route. Now, there is another one as well, and we've covered him on the channel before, so we're not going to cover him too much, but that is Lakeba. Again, it would be another really expensive transfer, and with FFP always looming over the shoulders of any teams that pretty much want to crack the top 4 in England, it could be an issue. He's injured, only going to be back in early February, so it would be one that we'd have to sign and not see for a couple of weeks. 9 games this season for Leipzig, who are doing alright in the league, obviously not doing very well in the Champions League. And again, a pretty decent-ish player. Stats don't particularly jump out the screen at you, but he's wanted by the likes of Real Madrid. He's only 22 years of age, soon to be 20. Oh no, he's only just turned 22 actually, so very, very young. One that you'd look at and think, bloody hell, we'd have to sign him and he'd have to come in and he'd have to be really good. And he'd have to replace Konsa. I'm not too sure. Coyote's the obvious choice for me. There's one other that we've been linked with, and that is Ballard from Sunderland. Daniel Ballard. He's 25 years of age, like I say, playing for Sunderland. Currently got a little bit of a knock. One that we're apparently battling it out with a couple of teams in the Premier League for. 12 games this season, 2 goals out of 9 starts, a rating of 7. Average rating, like I say there, 2 goals, decent. Pass accuracy is nearly 90%, it's okay. Again, 62% tackles won, 66% of his duels won. The aerial duels won being 71% is very, very nice. I like that. 3 blocks, only been dribbled past once as well, but he is playing in the Championship. This for me would be like an FFP concert backup if we managed to get rid of Carlos somehow. We don't have the money to splash the cash on someone to be a backup to Concert. I'm not sure that Begard would be trusted as a centre-back. Possibly we give Ballard a chance in the Premier League. He comes in and he's almost like the Mings of the right-hand side of defence. He's big, he'll win all of the headers, and he has a little bit about him on the ball as well. But out of these defenders, I think it has to be Coyote for me. And then we move on to this creative midfielder that apparently we are after, and one that has been really, really floated around this season is Romano Schmid from Werder Bremen, 24 years of age, as you can see on the screen, a market value of 15. I believe he is coming towards the end of his contract now, so he'd actually be available for a little bit cheaper than that. You can see in terms of chances created, he's in the top 95th percentile for Werder Bremen in this season. 15 games, 1 goal, 2 assists off of a 7.17 rating. We go down and look at his stats in a little bit more detail there. You can see the 1 goal. He's had 22 shots. That conversion rate I'm not crazy about. But in terms of his passing, 2 assists, an expected assists of 3.1. As 80% pass accuracy, not too keen on that either, but 27 accurate long balls. And then the crossing, again, 15 successful crosses, 36% of those crosses being successful. We need someone who can put the ball into the box, especially when you have someone with the heading ability of John Duran, because he's very, very good in the air as well. And Rodgers is massive, so if you can get him in the box, he's going to get a couple of them eventually. Do you know what I mean? 16 successful dribbles, but only 42% of them being successful. Nearly 1,000 touches. He won 17 fouls. And defensively does get mucked in. You know, you look at that. Very good. 77 recoveries. It's the elite level of the Bundesliga this season. 10 interceptions, 12 blocks. He's won possession in the final third 17 times, not been booked, which is very, very impressive. Won 10 tackles, 63 duels, and 10 aerial duels, which is pretty impressive considering he's that tall. I mean, 167 I don't know what tall that is, like 5'5", 6. I'm not even 100% sure. But he's one that has been being mentioned. There are a couple of others. This is the big one for me. This man right here, I saw him play against Villa this season. Tyler Dibling from Southampton is very, very special. Now, his stats this season might not paint a correct picture of him. He's only 18 years of age. He's got 1 goal in the Premier League this season out of 16 games, but that's because he's playing for a Southampton team who truly are woeful. There's no other way to say it. I mean, you look at this, again, pass accuracy is okay, 82%, 1 goal, like we say, this season, but he's winning a lot of his tackles, to be fair, gets mucked in defensively as well, 22 successful dribbles, somehow puts him in the top 25th percent in the Premier League, despite playing in a team like Southampton, who might have a little bit of a bounce back now with Russell Martin being gone. But this isn't a stats player. This is a player, and you look at him on the eye test, and he is absolutely wonderful, absolutely brilliant, such a bright future. Perhaps the move to Villa at 18 might be a little bit too early. It would be a lot of money, but could you imagine him on the right-hand side of that attack, with him on the right, Tielemans in the middle, Rodgers on the left? That would be very, very nice indeed. But let's move on to one, and this is a bit of an easy one. A bit of a strange one. It is Samuel Chukwueze from AC Milan. Now, there's been a couple of stories that have come out recently that AC Milan want Jadon Philogene, and they want to offer a swap deal due to various FFP issues that probably both clubs find themselves in. And Samuel Chukwueze has been one that's been mentioned as a potential for that swap deal. Now, what's interesting, we've been linked with him in the past, and that's because he played for Villarreal under a certain Don Unai Emery. This season hasn't really worked out for him. He's only 25 years of age. He's rapid, by the way. 23 million market value there as well. Like I say, this season he doesn't have any assists, but he has an expected assist of 1.7, 85% pass accuracy. The cross accuracy leaves something to be desired, but he has created 16 chances for his teammates and completed 8 successful crosses. We go down here, his dribble success rate, 51%, very good. 15 successful dribbles, very good. 40 touches in the opposition box as well. And defensively, does come back, does get mucked in. A player that Emery knows, a player that Emery apparently likes, and Jadon Philogene hasn't hit the ground running. I still believe it could work out for him, but we need pace in our team, and that's something that Chukwueze has in abundance. A very important player at Villarreal for Unai Emery. And look, if we can work it, I know that Jadon Philogene fills a quota in terms of homegrown players in the Champions League. If we can manage to figure that out and get Chukwueze in, that swap deal could be pretty tasty. Now, there's one more, and this one, I don't know how we'd get around the FFP for, but that is, how do you spell his name? Yeah, it's Yildiz, isn't it? There he is. Yildiz from Juventus. We've seen him play against Villa. He was probably the only player on the pitch that could really create anything in that game. He wears the number 10 shirt. He plays on the left. He is 19 years of age, from Turkey. This season, 3 goals and 2 assists in 16 games. But at that market value, I mean, he'd be a £70 million player at the moment. He's been likened to the very, very best in the world in terms of his potential. And like I say, his stats do paint a picture of a very, very good player, right? 3 goals, 2 assists, 87% pass accuracy, 28% cross accuracy, all greens apart from his long ball accuracy, really, in the passing department. 26 successful dribbles off of a 53% success ratio is immense. 19 tackles won puts him right towards the top end for his position in that league as well. 84 duels won off of a 54. I mean, look, the kid is special. The issue for me is he plays on the left. That's Morgan Rogers' position. I mean, he says he's both-footed here, so he probably could play on the right-hand side. I don't know whether it'd be as strong from there. And it would cost, I mean, wheelbarrows and wheelbarrows and wheelbarrows of millions of Great British pounds. I'm not sure it would happen, but he is a special player. That leaves us with my final thoughts, my final opinions on what we should do in January, right? The main issue that we need to address is our defence. We're woeful at the back. Our stats are terrible. I'll throw some up on the screen as I'm talking about it. We're leaking goals. I think we're conceding 1.5 goals a game. We've only kept 2 clean sheets in like 16, 17, however many it is, Premier League games that have been played this season. It's really, really poor. We're conceding really silly goals, sloppy goals, and something needs to be done about that, right? And we concede a lot of goals. Again, unfortunately, down the right-hand side, Pau Torres has been very leaky this season as well. Again, we have Mings to cover that. So I think our main priority has to be defence, right? Attack will come. Scored 2 great goals against Man City, could have scored more. So the attack will come. if we just sign 2 defenders on the right-hand side, a new right-back and a backup for Konsa at right centre-back, I think that would be me happy. Out of the players, I mean, look, there's a couple of like rogue options that we could discuss as well. If you guys want to make a video on rogue loan options, then comment down below. I'm thinking Grealish, I'm thinking Marcus Rashford, I'm thinking Alejandro Garnacho, those types of players, right? Players that are out of favour that we could get. Maybe if Sterling gets recalled from recalled by Chelsea, maybe we take something like him on loan. I'm not too sure, but for me, the priority has to be the defence. Kayode, fantastic defender, would love him at the club. Lakeba, fantastic defender, would love him at the club. There's a lot of players that are out there that we can have, and yeah, defence. Attacking wise, give me Tyler Diblin. I'm a very happy man. That's a great Christmas. Thank you very much, Aston Villa. But for now, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully you did enjoy. Comment down below what you think about our January transfer window, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.